people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm going to look at some overseas companies' Iron Mans Mark 42 and 43. These are bootlegs. I got them off eBay. They were under 20 bucks a piece, shipped. They look nice, so I grabbed them. I'm not quite sure who the original producer of these are. The sculpts look like Play Imaginative's Super Alloy line, which is seeing release right now. The sculpts look damn close, but seeing reviews of the Super Alloy figures, which I don't have, I haven't shelled out the $100+ for the Super Alloys. They look close, sculpt-wise anyway, and proportions and that kind of thing, but getting it in hand, the articulation scheme is changed a lot. All I can say is these figures are pretty nice for what they are. Now, they're not perfect, at least articulation-wise. Paint-wise, they are pretty close. In fact, nicer than the Hasbro versions, which I'll show you in a little bit. But this Mark 43 is my favorite Iron Man ever, even though it has its nits, you know. Going over articulation, the head is on a ball. It's not really sunk down in there, which makes me think that this was added, you know, later. So it's a ball, a double ball, kind of a dumbbell. So this moves around inside of here, then the head moves on top of that. It snaps on easy. You get a nice range of side-to-side motion. Down pretty good, but no up. So flying poses are kind of out here. Both shoulder pads are articulated to get up out of the way for the shoulder movement. Now the shoulders are on some kind of ball. Looking through the whole thing, I'm going to say this right off the bat. These are pretty much Revoltech joints. They have the, you know, ball in between two peg type things. I haven't been able to pull the arm off, but there's a few other pieces you can pull off. But you get a nice range. It's up and around, out. Not quite 90, but you can fake it. Now, you have a single hinge here up at the top of the elbow. And again, this makes me think that this is, you know, was added articulation by whoever bootlegged this, because the arm only comes up to here on the right side, which is kind of terrible, but gets a little further on the left, which it pretty much 90. Below that is another Revo joint, and it twists, and you can get some side-to-side action depending on how the joint is set up. Now, I've already taken this apart. It is kind of hard to get apart, but it can happen. There's a, you know, another piece of articulation there. I've got it set up to go side to side, but you can take it off, rotate it, and then have it forward and back, which I do have on this arm, just to give it a little bit more bend to it. The wrists are the same way. It's got a Revo type joint that pops off fairly easy because there's interchangeable wrists or hands. So it pops right back in there. You can set that up to go up and down or side to side. I've got this one forward and back. This one in and out. The torso is fairly nice. You get some side to side. You get some forward and some back. And I haven't popped that apart, but I'm assuming it's the same type of joint. The legs up here at the hips, you don't get any rotation. You get some forward and back, and you get some out. But you can shift it down to get more out. The left leg is a little bit better with the shift. This reminds me of the you know, the Bandai model kits where they rotate up and down, and then you pop it back into place. The left sticks out further than the right, so you get more down action. The right, not so much. You just get a little bit just to get it out of the way. The knees are double jointed. The top one gets quite a bit of range. Well, I guess not on the right. Again, it differs left to right. And then the bottom one gets about right there. I'm going to leave that up because the left gets way more movement. And then the bottom hinge gets you a little bit more around. So, again, it makes me think this is not the original articulation for this sculpt. Down in the ankles, you get, again, the Revoltech joint. It's pegged forward for some side to side. And then you get forward and back. Once again, the right, not so much. It's pegged further up in there. But what gets me most on these figures is the paint. These are both the same figure. It's essentially a color change from 42 to 43. And the paint is just, it's perfect. Everything's, the grays are all in line inside the sculpt. The golds, this, I guess this could be like a duller gold, but the red on the Mark 43, oh man, it's amazing. It's just, I love it. It's metallic, it's deep. If this figure was a different scale, this would completely replace the Hasbro version on the movie shelf. Now, with both figures, I did get the same extra hands. There's fists to replace the fists. They're both fists. But the armor plating on the back allows for a little bit more movement up and down. And it's the same way with the open palm hands. There's the one with the longer armor plate, and then the one with the shorter armor plate, so you can get better movement. And you just pop the hand off, pop the other one on, and then you have shooting action. And it gets pretty good, especially when you have the upper bicep joint set up to actually get some movement right there. Both of the figures came with extra joints, at least 2 extra wrist joints. Here and here. But not enough to put in every hand. And for some reason it's kind of hard to get these joints out of the hands. So I just picked the 2 open hands, put the joints in them, and then 2 fists, put the joints in those. It did come with 4 extra bigger joints. This looks like the joint that's here and down in the ankle. I'm not quite sure if there's another place for those. Now, here's the bootleg Mark 43 with the Hasbro Legends version. You can see quite the size difference, but looking at it like this, you think, well, the Iron Mans have been kind of small. This may work perfect in the movie display. Not going to happen. Because here he is with the Age of Ultron Captain America. Came in the last Marvel Legends series. And there's quite a size difference. I don't think Iron Man should be this much taller than Captain America, which makes everything out of scale, because in the movie display it seems like everything is scaled around Cap. But as you can see, the paint is superior on the bootleg version compared to, Hasbro's kind of swirly twirly plastic, which isn't really metallic. It works, but man, that's beautiful. You can also see the difference in proportions here. This looks like a dude in armor. This is showing, and don't get me wrong, I love my Marvel Legends, but it's got kind of the marionette look to it here and there, kind of mostly elbows, shoulders, and hips. This just flows from head to toe. I would love this scaled down just slightly. Here's the Mark 42 bootleg with the Hasbro Marvel Legends Mark 42. Again, I love the paint on the bootleg. It's just shinier. It's more striking. I like the proportions better on the bootleg. The articulation on the Hasbro version does win, and it fits in with the rest of my movie figures. So again, as much as I would love this one to be on the shelf, this one's going to stay on the shelf. As you can see, the bootleg isn't going to go on a comic shelf either. Again, just slightly too big, more of a 7-inch scale than a 6-inch. He towers over Black Panther, which, as you know, most of the newer Marvel Legends are based off this body size until we get the next one. He's nearly as tall as Radioactive Man, who is a bigger figure on the comic shelf. So he's not going to work here either. But like I said, he's more 7-inch scale, so he looks fantastic next to the Marvel Select Thor that just came out recently. This is a great figure. Go check out the review. But it looks good. If you don't mind mixing movie armors into your comic display, or you have other movie figures from the Marvel Select line, which I don't have. So at the end of the day, I am not disappointed. Even though he doesn't fit on my movie shelf or, my comic shelf, they will still find their own display. I've been on an Iron Man kick this year. I can't help it. And for $20 shipped a piece, you may have to wait a bit, but it's totally worth the price. I would still like to get the Super Alloy figures and compare. See if, the sculpts are the same size, just, a comparison. But I'll have to wait and see on that. Until then, I may have to set up just a strictly Iron Man shelf. So, if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. But it tries to slip off, and then this white shoulder pad is just hooped around it. So everything comes apart fairly easy, which again, to me, when I'm fiddling around trying to get a pose, I don't want my figures to fall apart.